Hey y'all, welcome back. We're back with a green day. Today's profit was a little bit over 500, but today I wanted to do this one a little bit differently. This trade reflection and slash breakdown. Instead of walking you through the whole session, because my trade was long, this was about 30 minutes worth of trade sped up. I'm just gonna let it play out and critique my decisions in real time. So we're gonna see basically what I saw, why I took the trade, what I did well, and where I could have made a better decision. So let's get into it. All right, so for this first trade, I was risking 50 points, $300. Off the rejection of this fair value gap that I stretched. This was a 5-minute fair value gap, and I'm kind of like in and out of profit here, but my reasoning for getting in was because it was rejecting off the midpoint, and I was targeting the lows because we had liquidity down there. So I started trailing my stop because we kept having this back and forth action to try to catch $100, but it took me out at 83. So that's my first trade. And now we're getting another rejection off of here. It didn't even tap into it. So I got another entry with 4 contracts this time, risking 384. All right, price was back in the zone again. We had a lot of back and forth here. So it's like edging my stop loss right now. All right, back at entry, back in drawdown, back at entry and profit. Oh goodness, this is so much back and forth here. Okay, now we're back at that 5-minute fair value gap. Yeah, back in profit. As you can see, it's still like rejecting off the middle of that fair value gap. All right, now we have pushed a good bit, about 20 points. And so this dotted line here is a midpoint of the higher time frame fair value gap. This was a 4-hour fair value gap. Okay, and now we've pushed through it. There we go. I took off 4 contracts here. Kept one runner at break even. Sorry, I took off 3 contracts and left the runner. That was 4 contracts I was in. All right, so now we're playing around at the midpoint of this higher time frame fair value gap. Price is not willing to push with momentum past it. Once it did push down, it left the big wick, and I should have waited until it gave some type of like big candle push away from that, because I got in another entry from this midpoint, and then it did that. So that's one thing I should have did. I should have waited for it to show some type of momentum on my side, the sell side, that's showing like, you know, we're picking up speed to grab this liquidity fast. If we don't have the speed to back it, it's just gonna dilly-dally just like this, back and forth, back and forth. So this one I didn't really feel too comfortable with this position. And right here is where I took off 3 contracts because, like I said, I didn't really feel too comfortable with it. But I hadn't reached my target yet. So as I'm seeing the price, it closed below with a big engulfing candle. And then it came back to retest and it rejected the midpoint. I got in another entry. It wasn't pushing in my direction. And on the 5-minute, we had no closure below. So after we got that closure below on the 1-minute, it just literally pushed up back to that 5-minute fair value gap. Okay, yeah, this one, once again, we're rejecting off of that 5-minute fair value gap. There are no more bodies that are closing within it, which is a good sign. Like, we just got that wick tap and then it pushed down, and now we're kind of consolidating in this area. But it's still a good sign that we had no body closures within it, just a retest and instant rejection. Now, if we could make it down to this 250, that'd be great. All right, look at that. Wick right to that middle of that 4-hour. All right, pushing, pushing, pushing. Okay, there we go. I added 2 more contracts and now I'm trailing aggressively. I got stopped out at 300 and I locked it up. Looking back at these trades, one, I realized I'm getting a little too loose with my rules of 3 trades a day, but I do like how I handled the rejections off the midpoint of the higher time frame fair value gap and just basically securing my profits. It's just like those extra entries once the momentum started pushing, only to just kind of fake me out. I should have avoided those and waited for a little bit more confirmation that it's going to continue versus just jumping in. I walked away with 536. I walked away with 536, but honestly, the P&L wasn't like the biggest thing for me. It was just more so that I trusted my bias and I wasn't changing it midway like I did the last video. I like that I was able to manage the position and I secured my profits, like I said. And then, just to hold myself accountable and going over this trade and showing you guys, instead of just celebrating a green day and critiquing where I could have done better. That's how we get better. That's how we get better. One trade, one lesson at a time. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you want to keep following the journey, make sure you like the video and subscribe, and I'll see y'all at the next setup.